Good morning, gang. Joyce with Skipping Calves Farms here. Just getting started with another chore for this morning. Or actually, truth be known, I'm probably about halfway or 3/4 of the way through my chore. I just forgot to shoot a video earlier. Yeah, the camera's wiggling. Why? Because I'm down here scratching Mama's head. Yeah, she likes to have her jaw scratched. I try never to rub a sheep on the top of their head because they butt heads. And then if you get in the habit of that, one of these days you may find yourself being butted from behind and on your back. But I do like to scratch the bottom of her chin. I just put a little bit of water in the protein bucket from the water trough here. Makes it a little easier for them to eat. Mama doesn't mind, slopping up some of that. And daughter came over to try and get some, and Mama wasn't gonna let her, but that has nothing to do with my video. So let me get back to work. Okay, Mama, go eat. Go eat. Go eat. Go eat. Okay. So, she's not going to get any more attention from me. I guess she'll wander, do whatever she wants to. But, right here's my grape arbor. It's the middle of February. Basically, the middle of February, March is the best time. I'm in southeastern Tennessee to do the heavy pruning. Now, we just went through a super duper heavy, nasty, cold spell. And so, and looking at the weather, we're not going to have another cold spell for another few weeks. Yeah, it may get down to freezing at night, but nothing super duper. This part of Tennessee is known for like 4 or 5 different winters, you know. Yesterday it was high 20s, low 30s when I got up, and it was 70 degrees yesterday afternoon. It's just crazy town weather. So, you can see there's a bunch of vines left over. Well, I've actually trimmed some of them. There's a bunch of vines left over from last year. Now, the way this arbor is set up, I got a grape here on this. I got a grape here on this corner. I got a grape on that corner. I got a grape on this corner and a grape on that corner. Now, the grapes on these two corners are seedless varieties. They've not done as well. The varieties here on these two corners are muscadine, which are better suited for my local climate. We all go through a learning process, and I grew up in the city. I didn't know about nothing. So I just started ordering and buying stuff from good suppliers. But most of them were from the Midwest, and most of it was based on, oh, that sounds cool. Now, there was some thought process behind what I did. I mean, there usually is. You're not an overthinker and then just turn the whole thing off. But so all of my vines, my bushes, my trees need to be pruned, winter pruned. Sometime. They need to be winter pruned sometime in the next 3 weeks. So it's one of those things that I can do when it's still really cool out in the morning. It'll give me just enough exercise to keep me warm without getting all nasty and sweaty. And so I started up here on these grapes at first. Now, these grapes did not grow up and over, but they did grow, well, I apologize, they did grow up and across. And so checked with the extension people, and with grapes you want to cut them way back. The same thing is pretty true with blackberries. But so what you want to do is, for any branch that you want to have new branches come off of, you want to make sure that you've got at least 2 or 3 buds. There's like 3 buds there in front of my hand. And those will go out into branches. Hopefully, this one I can take up this way, this one will go out that way, and that one will go out that way. Anything you don't want to continue to grow, you just cut off right at the juncture. Well, I don't mind if this one's got a bud here. I'm not even sure that that branch is still alive, so. But that's what I've already done all along here. So you see there's a bunch with just little nubbins on them. The ones that I allowed to grow up and over are going to be my main trellises going forward. And then so say if a branch grows off of a bud here, that can grow out, and then I can cut it back, and then that can grow out. I mean, my grandiose idea when I first got started with this was have the whole thing covered with grapes from the outside in and with blackberries from the bottom up. And now I got myself this great shady cool place that I could just reach up and pluck a grape off that's hanging down from the arbor. But the ground's a little uneven, and I started 6 inches off the ground here, and it's over a foot off the ground down there. So by the time I get down to the other end of the arbor, I can't reach the top. What I really should have done was start here just barely above the ground on both sides. So how am I going to fix that? Well, easiest way to fix that is if it really bothers me, I'll just come in here with a bunch of mulch and fill this space in the middle and level it off, and bingo, I can reach it from either end. Is that a primary issue for me? No. But those are things that I'm still learning. I also happened to catch this guy on a video like 2 o'clock in the morning last night. And he was talking about clearing roads and stuff with a chainsaw. Well, what does that have anything to do with anything? Well, you know, you trim the tree, you cut the firewood, this, that, and the other thing. And he said, that's an awful lot of work. So what he ended up doing was he had a gas chainsaw with a 24-inch blade on it, bar on it. And he said what he started to do was just chop and drop. And so when I first started up here, I was cutting these down and dropping them, but I wasn't cutting them too often. I was just kind of getting my feet underneath me. And then by the time I got down here to this grape, which has got an awful lot more growth on it, I just said, well, how can I make this fast? What'd the guy do with the chainsaw? So I just dropped a bunch, and then after a minute or two, I just came back and just went snip, 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 with these Felcos, which are really, really nice. They're expensive. It's the first time I've used them. They are really nice. It's very hard to do a first-class job with third-class tools. And I'm stuck with a lot of third-class tools because it's all I could afford. And it takes a lot more time when you do it that way. It's just part of the deal. And so, but I just came through here and did chop and drop with 3 or 4 times the amount of material that I had over there, and it's all lying flat. And that's what he was talking about. He said if you want to do the chop and drop, just cut it in such a way, and he says it took me a little while to learn with the chainsaw. This is the chainsaw guy now. And he said, but once you get the technique down so that you get stuff so it's lying flat, the microbes in the soil are going to be fed by all that stuff, and they're going to consume all that stuff, and it's going to be gone. And I'm like, oh, that's so smart. So I will go back over here. You can see some bigger stuff and some stuff that's sticking up a little bit over here. I'll go back and I'll re-chop some of that. I'll probably do that when I go after the blackberries, which will be next. So I'll I over trimmed the blackberries last year and almost killed them. So don't want to do that because I got information on how to trim regular blackberries, but thornless blackberries are a little bit different animal. So I'll be a little bit more cautious this year in terms of what I trim and how I trim on the blackberries. But as you can kind of see as we look up through the grape arbor, there's still a bunch of vines overhead. And by the time I'm done doing these, it's gonna look a whole lot more like that. Just a few here and there. So with that, gang, that's my next chore. It's a chore I'm working on. You know what? I had a fence around those sour oranges, keeping those chickens out of there, and I had to use the fence, and so I took it down. And look at those buggers, they're right back over there again. So I think I'm just going to leave them and see if the sour oranges can't handle them, because the last few days they'd moved over and they were around my 75 willows, which are over here just behind the beehives, and I had to put a fence up, just a real low fence. I just put a single wire over there to kind of discourage them from going over there. And so if I had to choose between the two, which is what I just did, I'll leave them with the sour oranges. Why? Oranges are a lot more established. They got huge, great big thorns. I've done a video on that in the past. And I'd rather have the chickens going back and forth across the paddocks and going after the bugs in the sheep manure than being back here by my garden. So we'll keep them out of this. We'll let them have access to the sour oranges. And I'm going to get back to work. So with that, gang, I will wish you blessings for the day, and whatever you do, just keep chasing the dream.